All right, let's talk about leveling up your English. Today, we're not just reviewing grammar, we're upgrading your entire conditionals toolkit. We're moving past the basics you already know and into the C1 level structures that give you real precision and nuance. By the end of this, you're going to be able to tackle complex ideas with the kind of confidence that just screams fluency. So let's get right into it.
I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got a standard B1 sentence. It's fine, it gets the job done. But then look at the C1 version on the right. See that? It's not just longer. It has a sense of formality, of nuance, of authority. That is the level of sophistication we're aiming for today. So, before we can build that amazing, advanced sentence, we have to make sure our foundation is rock solid. Now, I know you're probably pretty familiar with the basic conditionals, so think of this less like a lesson and more like a quick, essential check of the tools we already have in our kit before we add the shiny new ones. And here they are, the 4 pillars of conditionals. You've got the 0 for universal truths, scientific facts. The first for real possible futures. The second for all those hypothetical what-if daydreams. And the third for looking back into the past and imagining how things could have been different. Getting these down cold is the launch pad for everything that's coming next.
Okay, now for our first major upgrade, mixed conditionals. This is where C1 fluency really starts to kick in. And these are so important because, let's be honest, real life is messy, right? A past action can have a huge impact on your present, and a current situation is often the direct result of a past choice. Well, mixed conditionals let us connect those dots perfectly. First up, we've got the type that links a past condition to a present result. Take a look at the structure. It's kind of cool, right? It's like we're borrowing from 2 different forms. The if clause uses the past perfect, just like a third conditional, but the result clause uses would plus the base verb, just like a second conditional. It's the perfect little tool for bridging that time gap. And boom, here's a perfect example of it in action. We're connecting something that happened thousands of years ago, building infrastructure, to its direct observable consequence right now, today. You can immediately see how powerful this is for any kind of historical or academic analysis. Now, what happens if we flip that on its head? This is type 2. It connects an ongoing present condition to a specific past result. So the if clause uses the simple past, like a second conditional, to talk about a general state, like if I were a more decisive person. And the result clause uses that third conditional structure to talk about how that state affected a past action. I would have done things differently. And here's a fantastic business application. The company's policy is stringent. That's a present-day fact. And because of that fact, a specific opportunity in the past was completely missed. This just goes to show how useful this structure is for explaining why past events turned out the way they did, all based on the situation as it is right now. All right, our next tool is all about style. This is a pro move, conditional inversion. And let me tell you, this is a true hallmark of advanced C1 English. All you do is you drop the if and you flip the subject and the auxiliary verb. The meaning doesn't change one bit, but your language instantly sounds more formal, more polished, and more emphatic. Let's start with should in the first conditional. Instead of saying, if you should encounter any issues, which is perfectly fine, the inverted form, should you encounter any issues, just sounds so much more polished. You hear this all the time in formal instructions or high-level business emails. It also kind of suggests the problem probably won't happen. Now, for the second conditional. Inverting with were is super formal, almost a bit dramatic. Saying, were I to resign tomorrow, is something you'd probably say for a high-stakes meeting or a formal speech. It just adds a ton of weight and seriousness to the hypothetical situation. And finally, we have the most common inversion you'll probably see and use, and that's with had for the third conditional. Had the team anticipated the delay is just such a concise and powerful way to talk about the past. You will find this everywhere in formal reports, white papers, and any analysis of what went wrong or what went right. Okay, we've handled tricky time frames and we've added some serious style. The next step is to expand our vocabulary beyond just using the word if. Look, C1 communication demands precision. Using alternatives like these helps you specify the exact nature of the condition you're setting. It's about being specific. Each of these phrases adds its own unique flavor. Unless is fantastic for pointing out the one single exception, provided that sets a really strict, non-negotiable condition. But for is a very sophisticated and short way of saying if it hadn't been for, and otherwise clearly states the negative consequence if the condition isn't met. Think of these as your precision instruments.
So let's take a second. We've gathered all our new tools. We have mixed conditionals for time travel, we have inversion for formal flair, and we have a whole bunch of if alternatives for surgical precision. It's time to put them all to work. Let's build that truly advanced C1 sentence we saw at the very beginning. And here it is again, but this time, we understand exactly what's going on. The recruitment drive cannot commence unless the funding is formally authorized. Otherwise, the expansion were to be indefinitely postponed. You can just feel the formal logical precision. It's like a tiny, powerful argument all packed into one sentence. Let's break down how we built it.
So here's the blueprint. It's actually pretty simple when you see the pieces. First, we swapped out a clunky negative if clause for the much cleaner, more precise unless. Step 2, we added otherwise to very clearly spell out the negative consequence. And then for step 3, we use that highly formal word-to-be structure to frame the outcome not just as a maybe, but as a direct and unavoidable result. It's a killer combo of our new tools.
And there you have it. We've covered mixed conditionals, formal inversion, and a whole set of precise alternatives to if. Your toolkit is now officially at the C1 level, ready to express some incredibly nuanced ideas. So really, the only question left is this: which one of these powerful new tools are you going to take out and use first?